Hello and welcome to the Golden Waffles. Today we're looking at Domina by Dolphin Barn. In this game, you're a Domina who must train up gladiators in her ludus in order to challenge regional champions and get to some major tournament. The gameplay itself is split into two main parts, managing your ludus and fighting. The ludus is where you train your gladiators, you manage your gold, food, water and, most importantly, wine. This part plays a bit like a tycoon game, as you buy low value stock in the form of slaves or soldiers and train them up to be mighty gladiators. You can also hire workers who offer unique benefits such as reducing armor upgrade costs, improving recovery time for your men, or just bringing in resources every day and stuff like that. Your gladiators can be assigned to one of three classes. Initially you just have access to one, which is a basic sword and shield format, then you unlock the big two-handed sword guy, and finally a net/spear user. Your class dictates what sort of equipment you can use and how each gladiator will fight. While having multiple classes does add some variety, it feels like there are some balancing issues here, as the two-handed sword users are definitely the most powerful, with their giant one-hitting, face-splitting swords. The amount of equipment customization for each gladiator is really great. There's enough there to keep you upgrading your gladiators throughout the game, and you'll probably only max out a couple of them if you've been successful. Then you have multiple stats which dictate their speed, damage, health, stuff like that. This creates a unique style for each gladiator. You can attempt to make a glass cannon by having them only train damage instead of health, or you can go for agility and hope they dodge most swings. Again, there's clear winners here. Focusing on weapon damage for your two-handed sword fighters will make quick work of most enemies. Finally, in the ludus there is also the tech tree. You can pay resources to research additional abilities for your gladiators. This is where you can unlock the additional classes, but the main problem is that you basically have to rush the class you want so that you can really start training one of them up early so their stats are reasonable by the time you get to the championship. Also, you should end up unlocking all of the options by the end of the game, so the only real choice is what order you unlock them in. Next up is the fighting. Every few days you'll get to enter the Colosseum and fight, or alternatively you can start a private little back alley fight at any point. You're given the terms for your proposed fight, which includes the rewards, usually containing gold and slaves, obstacles such as lions, or some of the fighters can be chained down occasionally, and also how many fighters you and your enemy can play. The main thing to consider in a fair fight is the AI skill of your enemy. This is a measure of how well they'll perform in the ring. All your fighters initially start on 0% AI level, and will need to level this up via winning. Even with great stats, your fighters will get crushed by the enemy who knows how to fight. Quite a cool feature is the ability to personally take control of your fighter. This can allow you to negate that AI skill problem, as you substitute it for your own skills. Personally, I didn't use this option much, as I prefer to take the more realistic sim approach. I quite like the idea that I can't control my gladiator, and it's down to a combination of stats and luck. It made each fight feel stressful and immersive, and actually had me on the edge of my seat at times, because you honestly put a lot of time and gold into your fighters, so seeing them die can really suck. When the odds are in your favour, you can use this as an opportunity to increase the AI skill of your unblooded fighters, and give them a little bit of confidence, as 4 of them can just go to town just smashing up one poor sod. Although keep in mind that if a gladiator wins too many times or they get upset for some reason, they'll start expecting their freedom. My main complaint about the combat is just the lack of randomness. The AI skill of your opponent is directly related to the amount of games you've been winning recently. So you can basically control it by throwing back alley matches that don't mean as much in order to fight easier Colosseum opponents. And I'd like to see a bit more variety to it than that. I can just basically abuse that system, and I kind of have to, otherwise I'm fighting 100% AI skill enemies constantly, and you have to throw your best fighters at those, and even then they could just lose. I'd also love to see more variety in the types of fights. 1v4s where you're expected to send out 1 versus 4 AI are ridiculous to have to fight. You don't want to risk your best gladiator in that, so you end up just sending out some poor slave. You've not had him long, he's only just joined your ludus, you've not given him a class, and then suddenly he's getting stabbed by 4 guys while lions just maul his corpse. It's just sad. However, there's lots of things they can do about this. If it does land on 1v4, maybe I fight 4 individual battles where I have a chance to pull out between them and win nothing, or keep going. or just give me a proper bracketed tournament. That's what I really want. I was really disappointed when I got to the final tournament in the game, and it's just one big bum rush that horribly lagged my computer instead of being a real test of the gladiators that I'd spent the whole game training up. Overall though, gameplay wise, I really enjoyed the game. Despite it only taking about 2.5 hours to complete a campaign, I think it feels really captivating and just gives you that classic "please one more turn" sort of feeling. The graphics, if you somehow didn't notice at this point, are pixel based, which I'm often not a fan of. However here, it really didn't feel like I needed any more than that. It helps to keep the game focused on what it does best, which in my opinion is the tycoon, almost kleptomaniac side of things. I wanted a collection of strong fighters. I wanted winners for my Ludus. The music is fantastic. It really adds to the immersion, and it's definitely a standout part of the game. They're even selling it at a fairly steep price as a soundtrack. To summarise then, the developer took what I think is an absolutely fantastic idea, and they created a well executed but somewhat simple game. If you like Sims or team builders, then I would definitely recommend this game to you, as it's not that expensive. However, if you are quick to bore, then, well, let's be honest, those guys probably didn't get to this point in the video. So I'll put a link to the game in the description. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you like this video, click the thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more in the future, feel free to subscribe.